ki jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Bhakti Rakha Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Jai Bhagavan Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur ki jai. Rupa Nuga Guru Vargya ki jai. Jai Sri Chaitanya Saraswata Acharya Brinda ki jai. Srila Bhakti Nirmala Acharya Maharaj ki jai. Samadvaita Vaishnava Mandali ki jai. Kol Kartel ki jai. Shri Harinama Sankirtan ki jai. Nitai Gaura Premanande Hari Hari Bol. So we are, today is Sunday the 28th of February, last day of February, and we are continuing our Sunday discussion of Śrī Upadeśāmṛta of Srila Rupa Goswami Prabhu, and we are now discussing the Bhaktyaloka of Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur, and the second part of that, the 6 qualities conducive to bhakti. So this is the discussion of the 3rd verse of Upadeśāmṛta. Utsahan nishchaya darjat tat karma pravartanat Saṅga-tyāga satobrite sadvir bhakti prasiddhyati. And this week we begin with Saṅga-tyāga. Saṅga-tyāga. In Śrī Upadeśāmṛta, Srila Rupa Goswami has said that bhakti develops from utsaha, nischaya, dharja, tat karma pravartana, Saṅga-tyāga, and sadbriti. A sadhu's livelihood and a sadhu's conduct. Prior to this, separate articles have been written on the subjects of utsaha, nischaya, dharja, and tat karma pravartana. Now I will begin to discuss the meaning of the term Saṅga-tyāga. There are 2 types of Saṅga association, samsarga and attachment, ashakti. So, association, samsarga, and attachment, ashakti. Association is of 2 types. Association with non-devotees and association with women. Or for women, association with men. Attachment is also of 2 types. Attachment to samskars, mental impressions, and attachment to objects. All great souls who aspire to attain perfection in bhakti should very carefully give up Saṅga in the form of association and attachment. If such Saṅga remains, gradually everything will inevitably be ruined. This is a quote from Bhagavad Gita. Saṅgat saṅjayate kama, kamat krodha vijayate. Krodhat bhavati samoha, samohat smriti vibramaha. Smriti brahmsad buddhi nasho, buddhi nasat pranasyati. From Saṅga, desire arises. And from desire, anger arises. From anger, delusion arises. And from delusion, forgetfulness arises. From forgetfulness, the intelligence is lost. And by the loss of intelligence, a person is ruined. A sadhaka should always remember the instructions of Sri Bhagavan. If a sadhaka engages in prohibited Saṅga, then little by little their attachment will increase. The more such Saṅga increases, the more dedication to the highest attainment diminishes. The purport is that the jiva is spiritual, but being conditioned by Maya, the jiva has forgotten their true nature as a result of the faults of ignorance and mundane ego. In their pure state, the jiva has no Saṅga with Maya. In that state, they have only full Saṅga with spirit. In the spiritual world, all the jiva's Saṅga is spiritual. Therefore, in that state, the jiva's eternal Saṅga is desirable. In the conditioned state, the jiva's Saṅga is polluted. Such polluted Saṅga with ignorance, association with non-devotees, association with women, attachment to samskaras and attachment to objects is all unfavorable to the jiva's welfare. Only spiritual Saṅga is natural Saṅga for the jiva. A non-spiritual Saṅga is unnatural Saṅga for the jiva. Becoming liberated from such unnatural Saṅga is the jiva's liberation or mukti. Now we will discuss this subject of unnatural Saṅga. First, we will discuss association with non-devotees. Who is a non-devotee? Those who do not faithfully follow Bhagavan are non-devotees. Jnanis are never faithful followers of Bhagavan. They think, I too, on the strength of Jnana, will become equal to Bhagavan. Jnana is the supreme thing, and Bhagavan cannot keep one who attains Jnana under his control. On the strength of Jnana alone, Bhagavan becomes Brahman, and I too, on the strength of Jnana, will become Brahman. Therefore, all the endeavors of the Jnanis are to become independent of Bhagavan. In Sayuja Mukti attained through Jnana, Bhagavan's power over the jiva no longer remains. This is the attempt of the Brahma Jnanis, Atma Jnanis, knower of the self, as well as Prakrita Jnanis, mundane thinkers, do not rely on the mercy of Bhagavan. They try to attain everything on the strength of knowledge and reason. They do not show any particular interest in the Lord's grace. Therefore, every Jnani is a non-devotee. Even though some Jnanis in the stage of sadhana accept bhakti, at the stage of attainment they reject bhakti. No characteristic of eternal bhakti or submission to the Lord can be seen in any of their activities. This is the characteristic of every member of the Jnani tradition or sampradaya. They attain only a semblance of real Jnana being only a particular stage of pure bhakti, which only pure devotees attain by the grace of Bhagavan. As in Sriman Mahaprabhu's instruction to Srila Sanatana Goswami in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Jnani Jivan Mukta Das Painu Korimane Vastuta Buddhi Shuddha Nahe Krishna Bhakti Vine. Jnanis think, I have attained the state of being liberated in life, but in reality their intelligence is not pure without Krishna Bhakti. Therefore, those who are attached to the theory of Jnana have been counted amongst the non-devotees. The result of sadhana known as mukti is the highest object of their sadhana. Attaining Bhagavan's grace through service to Bhagavan is not the objective of their life. So we should be clear that that Jnana is not, that Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur is talking about here, is not Sambandha Jnana. Srila Guru Maharaj says, sometimes the devotees think, there is a class on Bhagavatam or something. I will not attend that, it is only Jnana. But that is not the proper way, proper conception. The proper conception is that Sambandha Jnana, the knowledge which leads to devotion, or the knowledge that serves devotion, that is not the Jnana that Bhaktivinoda Thakur is speaking about here. That Jnana is desirable. Karmis are also not devotees. Therefore, they are non-devotees. If someone performs karma to attain Krishna's grace, then that karma is called bhakti. Karma that gives a mundane result or gives gyan, which is averse to Bhagavan, is karma that is averse to bhakti. Is karma that is averse to Bhagavan. Karmis do not seek only Sri Krishna's grace. Even though they honor Sri Krishna, their fundamental objective is still attaining some sort of mundane satisfaction. Selfish action is called karma. Therefore, karmis too are called non-devotees. Yogis sometimes go out seeking the liberation of dissolution or kaivalya moksha, a fruit of gyan, and sometimes they seek mystic power, vibhutis, aishwarya, etc., a fruit of karma. Thus they are called non-devotees. Because the worshippers of many gods are not exclusively surrendered, they too are called non-devotees. Those who are attached only to discussion of dry arguments, nyaya and the like, are also averse to Bhagavan. There is nothing to be said of those who conclude Bhagavan is just an imaginary entity. Those who out of attachment to the mundane are unable to make time to remember Bhagavan are also counted amongst the non-devotees. If one associates with any of these non-devotees, within a short time one's intelligence will be polluted, and the same propensities as theirs will come into the heart and take hold there. If anyone has the desire to attain pure bhakti, then they should very carefully give up association with all such non-devotees. Secondly, there is association with women. Association with women is also very detrimental. Sriman Mahaprabhu's instruction to Srila Sanatana Goswami is this: Asat Saṅga-tyāga e Vaishnava achara, Stri Sangi eka asadu, Krishna bhakta ara. Rejection of bad association. This is the duty of a Vaishnava. Those who are attached to women are one type of bad association, and non-devotees of Krishna are another. So, of course, this doesn't mean devotee women. It means, actually it doesn't mean women in the association of women in itself is bad. It means that the desire to enjoy with women is bad. Or the other way, for a woman's desire to enjoy with a man, that is bad association. It doesn't mean a devotee's wife or devotee's daughters or like that. Srila Gurudev said, we are told not to be attached to family, but if our family are devotees of Lord Krishna, then there's no harm to be attached with them. If that attachment is in the right way, in promoting Krishna consciousness. So, right at the beginning of the book, it's been explained that when it mentions the association of women, the opposite is also true. It means for men the association of women, and women for the association of men in the mundane sense, with a desire to exploit one another for sensual enjoyment and non-devotional motivation. And of course in Kali Yuga there's also same-sex association in a similar way too.
But soul is like not male or female.
No, soul is actually feminine.
Yes.
But we're not talking about the soul. We're talking about the.
So we should focus only on Krishna.
Yeah. We're talking about the practitioner and how they should associate with others in the world, because that's unavoidable. We can't. Unless you're going to live in a cave somewhere, you're going to have to associate with the people who are non-devotees. So in which way to associate with them? So not to associate with them means, to accept their company, or to aspire for their company in the mundane, or to become, as if their association would be desirable. If one can give their association to anyone, and in that way make them into devotees of Krishna, then that's perfectly fine. But as Srila Maharaj would say, you have to cut your coat according to your cloth. So if we find that our association with non-devotees will lead us away from Krishna consciousness, then that should be avoided. So that kind of association means materialistic association. And I'm sure that will be explained further. There are two types of Vaishnavas according to the distinction between householders and renunciants. For those who are renunciates, women should not even be spoken to. Therefore, for them, by saying, give up the association of women, even conversing with women has been forbidden, as in the statement of Srimad Mahaprabhu, Kudra Jiva Shabba Markata Vairagya Kariya, Indriya Charana Bhule Prakrita Sambhashya. Wicked souls engage in monkey renunciation, are driven by their senses, and roam about conversing with women. Regarding lady devotees, Chaitanya Charitamrita says, Purva Vat Prabhu Kaila Sabara Milana Stri Shabba Dura Haite Kaila Prabhuru Darashana. As previously, Mahaprabhu met with everyone, and all the women saw Mahaprabhu from a distance. The rule in regard to householder Vaishnavas is as follows. Householders should not associate with others' wives or prostitutes, and they should not engage in any form of association with their own wedded wives other than the association permitted by the Dharma scriptures. They should completely avoid uxoriousness, sensual behavior. Regarding smartas, the instruction of the scriptures is as follows. Na griham grihamiti ahur grihini griham uchate taya hi sahita sarvam purushartan samashnute. It is said that a home is not a home, a wife is a home. With a wife, a man can achieve all the goals of life. For a householder, a wife is necessary. United and focused with his wife, he should pursue the goals of human life. For human beings in general, the goals of life are four: dharma, artha, kama, and moksha: duty, wealth, desire, and liberation. What the scriptures have called prescriptions regarding varna and ashram is dharma. Doing that which is prohibited in the scriptures is known as adharma. A householder should engage with, or with the help of his wife, in all such observance of prescriptions and avoidance of prohibitions. That which is achieved by observance of dharma is known as artha. A home's articles, sons, daughters, cows, animals, and so forth are all artha. For enjoying all such artha there is kama. Dharma, artha, and kama. These three are called tribarga. Pursuing tribarga is the life of a jiva conditioned by maya and revolving around the wheel of karma. Pursuing tribarga attentively with one's wife is the duty of a smarta householder. A householder should pursue tribarga attentively with his wife night and day. In activities such as visiting holy places, his wife can remain his companion. Until a jiva endeavors for the highest attainment, what other path is there in life, in a life of dharma, than endeavoring for tribarga? Moksha is the jiva's fourth goal of life. Moksha is of two types: the complete cessation of suffering and the attainment of spiritual satisfaction. For those whose life of dharma is regulated by dry gyan or mayavad, complete cessation of suffering is the ultimate goal. Those in whose heart pure gyan finds a place ultimately seek spiritual satisfaction. They do not remain attached to the complete cessation of suffering. Now, this is important to understand that satisfaction is not the same as cessation of suffering. That one is the negative and one is positive. So it's like, when you're very, very hungry, when you eat something, then your hunger is satiated. But as well as being satiated, you feel the satisfaction of having eaten. So both things are there, but they're not the same thing. In material life, we consider that the cessation of suffering is happiness. But actually happiness is something more than just the cessation of suffering. Happiness is something positive. And in Krishna consciousness, happiness means the attainment of Krishna Bhakti. Srila Gurudev would say, everybody wants to be happy, but how can anyone be happy if they ignore happiness himself, Lord Krishna? Whether a Vaishnava is a householder or a renunciate, they are a seeker of spiritual satisfaction. Householder Vaishnavas always aim towards spiritual satisfaction as they engage together with their wives in all their activities. Although they engage in all these activities in this way, they do not become uxorious. In such a life, they cannot indulge in association with women. They should completely avoid unauthorized conversation with women and unspiritual uxoriousness, even in authorized association with women. In Srimad Bhagavatam, Sri Suta Goswami has briefly mentioned the rules for Vaishnava householders. Dharmasya aparvagasya narto ritau pakalpate nartasya dharmai kantasya kamo labhaya hi smritaha kamasya nendriya pritir labho jiveta yavatta jivasya tattva jigyasa narto yas cheha karmabi ata pumbir dvija shresta varna shrama vibhagata svanushtitasya dharmasya samsidhir haritoshanam tasmad ekana manasa bhagavan sattvatam pati shrotabhya kirtitabas cha jaya pujas cha nityada. This is in the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Artha is not fit to be Artha means wealth, is not fit to be the goal of the followers of transcendental Dharma. And Kama, enjoyment of wealth, is not considered the attainment by such exclusive followers of Dharma. The satisfaction of the senses is not the goal of Kama. As long as one may live, inquiry into the absolute truth is the aim, and not anything attainable here through karma. Best of the twice born, the ultimate accomplishment of Dharma, performed properly by human beings according to the divisions of Varna and Ashram, is the satisfaction of Hari. Excuse me. Therefore, Bhagavan, the master of the devotees, is to be single-mindedly heard about, glorified, meditated upon, and worshipped always. The purport is that in the 20 Dharma scriptures that are mainly instructions about the pursuit of Trivarga, the merciful rishis have composed 20 Dharma scriptures for the benefit of those eligible for karma. The eligibility of the karmis is stated here. Tavat karmani kuruvita na nivirdyeta jabata Matkata Shravanado Ba Shraddha Jaban Najayate. This is from the 11th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Krishna tells Uddhav, one should perform karma as long as one has not become disinterested in the mundane, or has not developed shraddha in hearing and so forth about me. Trivarga is the dharma of the karmis alluded to in this statement of Bhagavan. Those who have become disinterested and eligible for jnana no longer have eligibility to engage in karma focused on Trivarga. They have left that and become eligible for sannyas based on dry jnana. Also, no eligibility for karma remains for those who through sukriti, acquired over many lifetimes, attain Bhagavan's mercy and develop shraddha in hearing narrations of Bhagavan and glorifying Bhagavan. They are Vaishnavas. The artha, or wealth, that Vaishnava householders acquire in the shelter of transcendental apavarga dharma, and the karma, desire they develop with regard to the use of that artha, are not for the purpose of sense gratification, but rather become assistants in the spiritual jiva's inquiry into the absolute truth through a pure livelihood favorable to bhakti. In this instance, the difference between karma and endeavor for the highest attainment, paramartha, can be seen. Therefore, for the sake of livelihood, and through the divisions of Varna and Ashram, householder Vaishnavas, together with their wives, should pursue in their householder life Dharma, Artha, Kama, and Moksha, with the aim of attaining the Lord's mercy. When their home becomes unfavorable to this pursuit, and they develop detachment from it, then householder Vaishnavas should renounce home. So for householder Vaishnavas, properly performed activities dedicated to Trivarga formulate their pure character. With such character, they should become exclusively surrendered and engage in hearing, glorifying, and remembering Bhagavan's eternal names, forms, qualities, and leelas. In this way, they should day by day, with their wives, pursue the highest attainment. Wives, too, with the help of their various female assistants, that is, younger sisters, daughters, and so on, should always endeavor for the highest attainment. Herein, no sort of unlawful behavior remains, and therefore within it there is no association with women. In conclusion, whether one is a householder or a renunciate, every type of sadhaka should completely give up association with women. Devotees should very carefully give up Saṅga in the form of the above-mentioned association. Now let us discuss Saṅga in the form of attachment. Attachment is of two types. According to the distinction between attachment to samskars, mental impressions, and attachment to material objects. First, I will discuss the subject of attachment to samskars. There are two types of samskars according to the distinction between the immemorial and the modern. The samskars created in the subtle body of the jiva as a result of all the karma and endeavors for jnana that the jiva conditioned by Maya has performed from beginningless time are the immemorial samskars. These samskars are called one's svabhava, or nature, as in Sri Gita. Na kartritam na karmani lokasya srijati Prabhu. Na karmafal samjogam swabhavastu pravartate. The master of the body, senses, and so forth, the jiva, creates neither any person's doership, nor actions, karmas, nor relationship with the results of action. Rather, the jiva's svabhava, acts, and causes all of these. The commentator Sri Baladev Vidyabhushan states, Anadi Prabrita Pradana Vasanatra Sadbhava Sabdemukta Pradhanika Dehadimam Jiva Karjita Karta Cheti Na Vivektasya Tattvam Iti. The beginningless existent basanas, impressions of pradhan, material energy, are here indicated by the word swabhav. The jiva endowed with a body and so forth made of pradhan is the causer of others' doing and the doer. This is not the nature of the pure entity of the Atma itself. Again, in Bhagavad Gita, 18th chapter, Swabhava Jena Kunteya Nibada Shvena Karmana Kartum Netchasi Janmohat Karishyas Avasopisa Pitat. O Kunteya, bound by your duty, born of your Swabhava, you will inevitably do that which out of delusion you do not wish to do. Regarding the bondage of jnana samskars, Sri Gita has said, Tatra sattvam nimalatvat prakasakam anamayam shukha sangena badhanati jnana sangena channagaha. O sinless one, therein the mode of goodness, illuminating and wholesome because of its purity, binds the jiva with Saṅga, attachment to satisfaction, and Saṅga, attachment to knowledge. Here the commentator Sri Baladev Vidyabhushan states, Jnaniyaham sukyaham iti abhimanas tena purusham nibhadati. I am wise, I am happy. With such pride the soul is bound by the mode of goodness. Human beings Saṅga to karma and Saṅga to jnana arise from the attachment produced by the samskars, which are created by karma and jnana, generated by this sort of swabhava or nature. In the aforementioned verse, the Mayavadi's bondage to jnana is shown. A description of those attached to karma has been mentioned as follows: Na buddhi bedam janayed ajnanam karma sanginam Josha jet sarva karmani vidvan jukta samacharan. It's in the basement, isn't it? The wise should not create disturbance in the minds of the ignorant who are attached to karma. Rather, the wise should attentively perform all their duties in full and so engage them, the ignorant. Saṅga, attachment to karma, and Saṅga to jnana comes from immemorial samskars. Attachment to these immemorial samskars is unavoidable. Even with great effort and even by suicide, such samskars cannot be given up. The samskars and Saṅga to the modes that can be attained through association in this birth are called modern samskars. The jivas of this world are controlled by these two types of samskars. When the jiva is not bound in Maya, then their swabhava is pure servitude to Krishna. Upon becoming bound in Maya, the jiva cannot give up their immemorial or modern negative samskars. These immemorial samskars then become their second nature or swabhava. Association with sadhus can purify attachment to samskars. Association with sadhus is the only medicine for this disease. If one is unable to purify attachment to samskars, then by no means can one attain bhakti. Sango ja sangsriter hetur asatsu vihito diya. Sa eva saduso krito nihe sangatvaya kalpate. Association out of ignorance with non-devotees is the cause of transmigration, bondage in material existence. Yet with devotees, association with devotees, it leads to detachment on liberation from material existence. Again in Srimad Bhagavatam 11th canto, Na roda yati mam yoga, na sankyam dharma evacha, na swadhyayas tapas tyago, nesta purtam na dakshina, bhartani yagyas chandamsi, tirtani niyama yamaha, jata va runde sat sangha, sarva sangha pahohimam. Again, this is from the 11th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Saṅga, attachment to samskars, is very bad. Ashtanga yoga, knowledge of Sankhya, observance of Varna and Ashram, study of the Vedas, austerities, sannyas, public welfare work, charity, donations, rites, sacrifices, pilgrimages, restraints and observances. Even by performing all these virtuous practices for a long time, the jiva does not become free from the vice of Saṅga, and therefore does not attain me. But when simply by association with the sadhu, such vice goes away, I am quickly bound within a devotee's heart. There it is coming up again, the importance of sadhu Saṅga. Can't be overestimated. Srila Sridhar Maharaj said 99.9% of your advancement in Krishna consciousness will be dependent on your association. By honoring pure devotees of Bhagavan and associating with them, the vice of Saṅga to samskars in the form of Saṅga to karma and Saṅga to jnana go away. Because of this vice of Saṅga to samskars, the propensities of passion and ignorance remain predominant over the jiva. The propensities for goodness, passion and ignorance seen within human beings, sleeping, eating and sensual activities, are all because of Saṅga to samskars. From such Saṅga to samskars arises the karmis and jnanis' disregard for the Vaishnavas. As long as such attachment to samskars does not go away, the 10 offences to the holy name are not uprooted. Offences at the feet of the devotee sadhus occur because of pride in karma and pride in jnana. Thus the offence to the holy name of criticism of sadhus comes and resides in the hearts of non-devotees. Opposing the understanding that Sri Krishna is the one Supreme Lord, attachment to samskar, mundanity, does not allow unfortunate jivas to surrender unconditionally. Thus, disregard for Guru, criticism of the Vedas, interpreting the holy name, considering chanting Bhagavan's name equal to other pious acts, committing sin on the ploy of chanting the name, aversion to Bhagavan produced by I and mine, and selling the name to the unfit, all these offences to the holy name continue. In this condition, how can any further benefit come to the jiva? Therefore it is said, Asadbi shahasangastu nakartabhya kadachana, jasmat sarvata hani syad adapatas chajayate. Doesn't say where that's said, but the meaning is, one should never associate with the wicked. By doing so, one loses all of one's wealth and falls down. By associating with pure Vaishnavas for some time, attachment to samskaras goes away. This has been seen by many fortunate persons. By the association of Sri Narad, a hunter, Mrigari, and Ratnakar, Valmiki, attained good fortune. This is well known in the scriptures. The foremost instruction of Sri Ramanuja Acharya is this: if you cannot purify yourself by any means, then just go and sit with the Vaishnavas. If you do so, you will attain all good fortune. Interesting. This is, Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, the foremost instruction of Sri Ramanujacharya. If you cannot purify yourself by any means, then just go and sit with the Vaishnavas. If you do so, you will attain all good fortune. Just by seeing the refined behavior of the devotees, the mind changes within a short time. Attachment to sense objects lessens, and the sprout of bhakti arises in the heart. What's more, one gradually develops the taste of the Vaishnavas even in regard to food and behavior. By remaining in the association of the Vaishnavas, many people's taste for the association of women, thirst for wealth, desire for enjoyment or liberation, regard for karma and gyan, consumption of fish and meat, desire for alcohol, tobacco, smoking and pan, and various other anarthas have gone away. We have seen this. Seeing the Vaishnava's tendency of not wasting time, many people without difficulty have done away with laziness, excessive sleep, useless conversation, the urge to speak, and various other anarthas. We have seen also that by staying in the association of the Vaishnavas for some time, some persons' deceitfulness and desire for pratishta have gone away. If one associates with the Vaishnavas with a little respect, attachment to samskaras and all other forms of Saṅga go away. We have seen this with our own eyes. Persons attached to desire for victory in battle, who are especially expert in achieving dominion, and who are extremely eager to accumulate immense wealth, have all become pure in heart and developed Krishna Bhakti in the association of the Vaishnavas. What's more, even the hearts of persons with the wicked design, that I will defeat the world in argument and conquer all directions, have become tranquil. We do not see any way other than association with Vaishnavas to eradicate attachment to samskars. One should be very careful to give up attachment to objects. Householders have natural attachment to their home, yard, paraphernalia, clothes, ornaments, wealth, the bodies of their wives, sons, and other relatives, their own bodies, foods, trees, animals, and so forth. Some persons have so much attachment to smoking, chewing pan, and consuming fish, meat, and alcohol that these become obstacles to their endeavor for their highest attainment. Many people, out of greed for fish and other things, do not honor Bhagavat Prasadam. Because of their desire to continuously smoke, many people's reading of bhakti texts, tasting the processes of hearing and chanting, and spending extended time at the Lord's temples become hindered. All such attachments to objects are very obstructive to constant cultivation of Krishna. If one does not, with great care, give up all such attachments, the joy of service cannot be felt. In the association of the sadhus, all these attachments to objects go away without difficulty. Still, trying to do away with all these petty attachments through full endeavor based on bhakti is necessary. All these petty attachments go away through observance of rites sanctioned within Bhagavad Bhakti. By properly observing the rites of Sri Haribasara, e.g. Ekadashi, and Sri Jayanti, e.g. Sri Krishna Janmastami, all these attachments go away. Destruction of attachment through the observance of rites and rules have been prescribed. On the days of these rites, the prescription is to engage in bhajan while completely rejecting all forms of enjoyment. Enjoyable objects are of two types, life-sustaining and sense-satisfying. Food, water, and so on are life-sustaining. Fish, meat, pan, alcohol, tobacco, and so on are sense-satisfying. On the days of rites, if sense-satisfying objects are completely avoided, then the rite is observed. Avoiding life-sustaining items should also be done as far as one is able. Curtailing as far as possible, according to the condition of the body, the use of life-sustaining items within an arrangement for subsistence, anukalpa, is necessary. Sense-satisfying items are not necessary for subsistence. The prescription is to reject them. A devotee jiva's practice of curtailing the tendency to enjoy is one of the limbs of a rite. If one thinks, today with great hardship I shall renounce this, and again tomorrow I shall enjoy it as desired, then the purpose of the rite will not be achieved, because all rites have been prescribed to cause one to give up Saṅga for all such items through gradual practices. Rites span nearly 3 days. By resisting Saṅga in this way for 3 days, and gradually uprooting Saṅga through a month-long or 4-month-long rite, i.e. Chaturmasya, one should dismiss such items and behavior forever. In regard to observance of rites, the detachment, vairagya of those who do not remember the meaning of the statement in Sri Gita, Kipram bhavati dharmatma, they quickly become virtuous, is temporary, like the bathing of an elephant. For those who desire to attain pure bhakti, the Saṅga, association of both non-devotees and women, must be given up. To give up attachment to samskar, association with sadhus, is extremely necessary. To do away with attachment to objects, observing Vaishnava rites is also necessary for them. One should not be negligent about these practices. Performing them with great care and honor is necessary. If they are not performed with honor, deceit in the form of duplicity, kutinati, comes and makes them all fruitless. For those who have no regard for these practices, Sri Hari Bhakti becomes extremely difficult to attain, even after hearing about Sri Hari Bhakti for many births. How do Saṅga-tyāga and Saṅga occur? Many have doubts about this. Doubts can occur because if Saṅga occurs just by being near a bad person or object, then there is no way to give up Saṅga. As long as the material body exists, how can the proximity of these things be avoided? How can householder Vaishnavas reject members of their own family? Even if they become renunciates, persons deceitfully wearing the garb of renunciate cannot be avoided. Whether one is in a home or in the forest, for one's livelihood, one will have to come near bad persons. Therefore, the following prescription regarding the limits of giving up bad persons' Saṅga has been given in Śrī Upadeśāmṛta. Dadati pratigrinati guyam akyati prichyati. Bhunkte bojayate chaiva sadvidhim pritilakshanam. O sadhakas, one must accept the proximity of both good and bad people in the course of maintaining one's life. Householders and renunciates are equal in this regard. Proximity will certainly occur, but Saṅga with the bad should not. If affection is expressed in the acts of giving gifts, accepting gifts, conversing privately, and eating together, then Saṅga occurs. Giving something to a hungry or sick person and accepting something from a pious donor, these are to be done simply with a sense of duty. They are not to be done with affection, even if they occur with bad persons. No Saṅga occurs with such persons in such acts. If they occur with a pure Vaishnava, then affection should be present in the act. When one expresses affection, then Saṅga occurs. Therefore, by giving to a pure Vaishnava and by accepting items or wealth from them, good Sangha occurs. If with affection one gives to a bad person or accepts something from them, then bad Sangha occurs. If a bad person approaches someone, then simply with a sense of duty, they should perform whatever actions are necessary to be done for them. They should not converse confidentially with them. Affection is normally present in confidential conversation, and thereby Sangha occurs. In meeting with worldly friends and relatives, speaking only of information that is extremely necessary, it is good not to express the affection of the heart. But if a friend is a sadhu, Vaishnava, then one should be affectionate to them and accept their Sangha. If one behaves in these ways with relatives and friends, no opposition will occur. Sangha does not occur in discussion of practical information, as one should engage only in external behavior with strangers while buying things in the market, so one should behave with people in general. In such behavior, with a pure devotee, however, one should express affection in association. If one has to feed the hungry, the sick, or professional teachers, one should do this as one treats a guest. There is no need to express special affection. Take care of them, but do not express affection. Feed pure Vaishnavas with affection, and when necessary with affection accept and eat prasadam given by them. If one can think and act in this way, while giving things, accepting things, conversing, eating, and so on, with one's wife, sons, servants, guests, and whomever one has to visit, then no bad Sangha will occur, and good Sangha will. If one does not give up bad Sangha in this way, there is no hope of attaining Krishna Bhakti. Renunciates should accept with the aforementioned considerations whatever they receive as alms, madhukari bhikkha, from the homes of sincere Vaishnava householders. One should always remember the difference between madhukari bhiksha, begging a little at a number of places, and sthula bhiksha, begging for a full meal at one place. Householder Vaishnavas should accept food and drink prasadam in the homes of householders of pure character. In the homes of non-devotees and persons of impure character, they should always cautiously accept prasadam. There is no need to say more about this. As a result of their sukriti, the intelligence, buddhi yoga, of those who have shraddha in bhakti develops to some extent by Krishna's mercy. Through such intelligence, they can understand without difficulty the substance of the teaching of the acharyas. Therefore, they need only to be given instructions in a few words. Those who have no sukriti have no shraddha. And even if one speaks to such persons at length, they will not understand anything at all. Therefore, in Śrī Upadeśāmṛta, Srila Rupa Goswami has given instructions for bhajan in only a few words. Here we are to understand the difference between association with the mundane and association with the transcendental. We cannot avoid association with the mundane because we live in the mundane world. So wherever we go, we're going to be associating with people and objects and things of this world. But we do not associate with those things with affection. We associate with those things as much as is required in a practical way, and not more than that. But when all of those things, if they are connected with the Vaishnava, then that should be with affection. We should always try to foster affection for the Vaishnavas. And that will be our saving grace. And even if we have some difference with Vaishnavas, and that happens, we're not all, none of us are saints, and therefore we have differences with people. Some people we like, some people we don't like, even amongst the devotees. That's normal. But we should try to endeavor for an affectionate dealing with them. I'm reminded of Srila Govinda Maharaj. During the time of his last days, when he was with he had his what they called the veranda crew, those who were like his personal attendants, and amongst them 2 devotees. They didn't get on, and they were always like butting heads and always at odds with each other. So one day, this one devotee came to Gurudev and said, "I can't tolerate it any longer, Gurudev. I've tried and I've tried to tolerate that person, but I cannot tolerate them any longer." And Gurudev said, "No, you must tolerate." And so that devotee said, "Okay, I will tolerate." And then after some time, they again came to Gurudev and said, "As you instructed, I've tolerated and tolerated so much, but I am not getting any relief from the antagonism with that person." And Gurudev's reply was, "That because you are not tolerating with affection. You must tolerate, but with affection. You must have, otherwise that toleration will not be auspicious. It will not be in the line of devotion. In the line of devotion, we should always try to see the devotional side of the Vaishnava, the good side of the Vaishnava. Even if their character is questionable, every devotee has some goodness within them, and we should try deeply and sincerely to see that goodness within them, that devotion within them. So this was Saraswat Thakur's method. If he saw there was antagonism between 2 devotees, in a meeting, he would say, "Okay, now, Prabhu, you say something about your friend," knowing that they don't get on with each other. In their Ishtagosti. So, and then that devotee would have to say something, but not just some shallow thing. They would have to go deep and try to see the bright side of that person. And then if they are able to appreciate the good qualities in that devotee, then also those good qualities will come in you. Whereas the opposite is true. If we find fault in the devotees, those same faults will definitely come within us. That is without question. Srila Sridhar Maharaj told us that. If the faults you see in others, those faults will definitely come in you, or are already in you. Because, as the Bible says, the tongue speaks what the heart is full of. So if we are only seeing the bad qualities in someone, that means actually that we are reflecting that bad quality by seeing that. And we see that the real devotees, the higher devotees, they are only looking at the good qualities and not so much seeing the bad qualities. Sometimes, if one is in the position of a teacher, like Sri Gurudev, then they may need to point out the bad qualities of their students for their rectification. But that isn't the same as fault finding. That is for the upliftment of the devotee. But needlessly finding fault with others, devotee or otherwise, is never good. But especially to find fault with the Vaishnavas, that is very troublesome to us. So we should try to not only tolerate those that we don't get on with, but we should try to see within them the goodness and the devotional aspect of that person, and not to see the bad qualities. So that was Saṅga-tyāga. Saṅga-tyāga means the giving up of bad association. And
There's a person might have 99 bad qualities, but there must be one good thing.
yeah.
If you look at that, you feel happy.
Okay, so I think we'll stop here for today because the next Sadhu Bhakti, that is quite long, and maybe if we start that now, it won't. Thank you. That won't give us enough time and to increase, our understanding. We can only absorb so much in one sitting, so to say. So I think we'll leave that today. We just now observed the appearance day of Lord Nityananda Prabhu last week, a few days ago, and this week coming up the appearance of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, the founder of the Gaudiya mission, the Gaudiya Mott, and our Param Gurudev. So we will have some observance of his appearance day, and also on, I think, Tuesday perhaps, is the disappearance of Siddhanti Maharaj, Sripad Siddhanti Maharaj.
On Thursday.
Tuesday, I think, on Tuesday. So
Thursday is
Saraswati Thakur's appearance day. So Siddhanti Maharaj is the friend of the Vaishnavas always. He came to Srila Guru Maharaj and Srila Govinda Maharaj, and always travelling with Srila Govinda Maharaj. And he joined with the mission of Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj in the early days, one of the first disciples of Prabhupada. His name was Chidananda Prabhu, and we knew him for a long time as Chidananda Prabhu. And Srila Prabhupada, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj, he remarked about Chidananda Prabhu. He told his disciples, Chidananda is a Shuddha Vaishnava, a pure devotee of Krishna. And we see that that he was always the great friend of all the Vaishnavas, and always enthusiastic for Krishna consciousness, and especially enthusiastic for kirtan. He was not expert at kirtan, but he loved kirtan. And Gurudev recognized that his kirtan was very pure. Here, when he was here one day, he was leading the kirtan during the arti and perhaps singing the wrong tune. And Srila Gurudev, we were sitting upstairs, and he sent his servant, go and see who's chanting in the temple room. He was, a little disturbed that wrong tune or whatever it was, and then a few minutes later, his servant came back and said, "Oh, it's Siddhanti Maharaj." And then Gurudev said, "Oh, then it's okay. Then it's okay."
very nice.
So anyway,
Always with Gurudev.
yes, always traveling with Gurudev, always, and also never causing any difficulty for anybody. Always self-sufficient, and always also very enthusiastic for preaching, for kirtan, for everything, and very much beloved by Srila Gurudev and by all the Vaishnavas. So we're remembering him. I think it's Tuesday, his disappearance day.
He was quite young. Then he died.
Yeah, in his 60s. But he looked very young. He was very, youthful, always looking very youthful, tall and skinny, and But we are confident that wherever Srila Gurudev is, he is also there with him.
When he used to go Jagannath and Navadvip, people asked him to pay 5 rupees. He won't wait for the change. He said, "Give it as a donation." Very nice guy.
Yesterday was Narottama Das Thakur's day, special day.
That's right.
And Narottama Das Thakur also, he born in 1550, but died in 1587. So only 37 years old.
Yeah, that's right.
Very nice kid.
But he done lots of service, kind of.
Yes, we spoke about Narottam yesterday, but he's very famous, especially for the kirtan songs that we sing.
Yes.
Narottam Thakur's, before Bhakti Vinod Thakur, Narottam's songs were the main songs of the Gaudiya Vaishnava line, and still we are singing those songs. And famous, very famous, his two books of kirtan, Prarthana and Bhakti Prema Chandrika, his other compilation, or Prema Bhakti Chandrika, sorry. And very.
And his guru was Lochandas Thakur.
No, Lokanath Goswami. And by the instruction of Nityananda Prabhu, he became the disciple of Lokanath. Although Lokanath didn't accept any disciples, but Mahaprabhu appeared to him and told him, I already told you before, one disciple you must accept, and this is Narottam. And Narottam also, when we hear from Guru Maharaj that when Mahaprabhu was traveling, that when he came to the river Padma, and Narottam was born on the banks of the river Padma in Keturi Gram. But when he approached the river, before Narottam was born, he began shouting loudly, Narottam, Narottam, Narottam. And the devotees, they couldn't understand why. But when Narottam was a young boy, teenager, then he was a prince, actually. His mother and father were king and queen. And Nityananda Prabhu appeared in a dream to him and told him, go and bathe in the river Padma. Mahaprabhu has left his Krishna Prema there for you. And Guru Maharaj said his complexion was very dark-skinned complexion. And he went and took his bath in the Padma river, and Krishna Prema infused him so much. When he came out of the river, his body had become golden like Mahaprabhu. Yeah. And when he returned home, his mother was like, what happened to you? You know? And finally he wanted to go to Vrindavan and asked his father, but father won't give him permission to go. So one day his father went to pay some taxes to the government, and while he was away, then he asked his mother, please mother, give me your permission that I can go to Vrindavan. And his mother also didn't want to give permission, but he said, then if you do not give me permission, then I will die, because what use is my body if I cannot use that for serving Krishna? Then I shall just immediately die. Then she said, okay, then I give my blessing to you, you can go with my blessing. And Narottam left home and went to Vrindavan, and he was accepted by Jiva Goswami as his student. Although Rupa and Sanatan already passed away, but Jiva was something younger than them. But he understood that he would take Diksha from Lokanath Goswami. And Lokanath Goswami was very renounced Vaishnava, just living in a small thatched cottage, and so much so that like sadhus, they have a komandala to carry water in, and he would always keep his komandala outside of the cottage, turned upside down. And the reason was so that no one would even come to ask him for a glass of water. Because you can see, my water pot is upside down, there's no water in there. So he didn't like to mix with anybody. But Narottam came, and Narottam observed from a distance and saw where Lokanath Goswami is going every day to do his ablutions, to pass stool and urine. He's going the same place every day before bathing, and then after doing that and going to bathe, then Narottam would go and very fastidiously clean that place. He is a prince, but he's doing that, cleaning that. And Lokanath was noticed, oh, someone is coming and cleaning this place. Who is that person? And they said, oh, that is that boy Narottam. So then he waited to see Narottam and said, why you are doing this? He said, because I want your mercy. Nityananda Prabhu has told me that you are to be my Gurudev, and please accept me. And he also knew from a dream, Mahaprabhu had told him, you have to give Diksha to this boy. So he accepted him. One disciple, Lokanath Goswami, one disciple. But Narottam's preaching was so vast that in the state of Manipur, which is a little above Bengal in the Himalayas, there's a state there, he made the whole state.
They were Buddhists before.
They were Buddhists before, yeah. The whole state he made them into Vaishnavas, converting the king and his family. They all took Diksha from Narottam, and the whole state of Manipur became Vaishnava followers of Mahaprabhu. So much so that they're a part of Navadvip is called Manipur, and they have their temple there, and they look like Chinese people, Manipurian. I think maybe that Nilakanta and his wife, I think they're from there. And they're all very devoted to Mahaprabhu, even to this day. Bhakti Swarup Damodar Maharaj, he was also from Manipur. And yeah, they have a very beautiful culture, and their kirtan is very famous. The type of kirtan that they do. But particularly with when they perform kirtan and they do dancing with the mridanga and everything, that's very famous. Anyhow, that was Narottam Thakur. His preaching was very glorious, and his associates, his main associates, Srinivasacharya and Shyamananda Prabhu, and they were given the responsibility to bring the books of the Goswamis from Vrindavan to Bengal, which they did, but on the way they were robbed, because passing through one region, and the king there his name was Maharaj Birhambir, and although he was a king, he was also a dacoit, and he employed astrologers to tell him when parties of wealthy merchants were coming, and then they would go and rob them in the night. So then his astrologers told him, there's a party coming from Vrindavan, and they have with them jewels of immeasurable wealth in their chests. There's nothing more valuable in the whole world that you will find that they are carrying in their chests. So in the night they came and they stole the Granth, the books of the Goswamis. It's not like today that you can go to the temple and buy the book. Every book had to be hand copied, and so it's it's lost forever. So they came there. So he sent Srinivasacharya sent Shyamananda and Narottam on, and he went in search of the books, and he came upon the palace of Maharaj Birhambir, and there he saw that although Maharaj Birhambir was something of a dacoit, he was also a devotee and had much appreciation for, liked the sadhus, and liked to listen to, liked to hear Bhagavatam. And his court pandit was preaching Bhagavatam, but he told many things which Srinivasacharya considered to be objectionable, and he protested in the meeting. And Maharaj Birambir said, "Can you give a better explanation?" And he said, "Yes, I can give a better explanation." And so Srinivasacharya, he spoke on Bhagavatam, and when the king heard him, and all of the people in the court heard him, they realized, oh, this is no ordinary sadhu, this is some great Mahapurush type of devotee here. And then Maharaj Birambir told him, "Oh, I have to admit to you that I stole your books. I have them in my storehouse. My astrologers told me they were gems of great value, so I stole them." And Maharaj Birambir, he returned the books to Srinivasacharya, who then joined with Narottam and Shyamananda in Keturigram. And there they held the very first Gaura Purnima festival, the first one that had been ever observed amongst the Gaudiya Vaishnavas. And at that time they invited as the guest of honor Janava Devi, Lord Nityananda Prabhu's wife, and they gave her the chair of the Vyasasan and worshipped her as the greatest Vaishnava, and they performed many big festival. Narottam Thakur, he installed 6 deities in 6 temples in Keturigram, and one temple we went to just last year when we were in Vrindavan, we went there, and his deity is there in one of the temples in Vrindavan, very beautiful temple, and we had the fortune to sing there. Anyway, that was the first Gaura Purnima, and they had a big, many kirtan parties. His description has been given, like so many people playing the mridanga, so many people singing, so many people dancing, and it was very organized. And maybe there were 12 kirtan parties or something like that. And it is said that the kirtan was so wonderful that all of the Panchatattva were seen to be dancing in each of the 12 parties with the devotees. Mahaprabhu, Nityananda Prabhu, Advaita Prabhu, Gadadhar and Srivas in each of the kirtan parties. So this is, anyway, Narottam. And finally but Narottam was from a Kayastha family, like Bhakti Vinod Thakur, also from a Kayastha family. And that's considered a type of Shudra. And Narottam accepted many Brahmins as his disciples, and so the caste Brahmins, they objected very vehemently to that, and they came to to debate with him, thinking they would be able to defeat him. But just as they arrived, he passed away, and all of his disciples, they were crying, because the smartas that had come there, they were saying, "Yes, you see, this proves that he was an offender, because he died." And so his disciples are praying to him, "Oh, Prabhu, this is not good that you have passed away like this. It is bringing a very bad reputation to our sampradaya, and it is very inauspicious that you cannot debate with these pandits." And their plea and their tears, they're like this, and then Narottam sat up and said, "Okay, where are they? Let us debate." And all of those smartas, seeing this miracle, they all surrendered to Narottam. And then maybe 1 year later, or sometime later, he again showing the separation from Radha Govinda, his Lord, from Mahaprabhu. And again he passed away, but he passed away in the Ganges, and it is told that his body turned to milk. His body dissolved into milk and then merged with the river Ganges. So because of that, there is no actual samadhi of Narottam Das Thakur where his remains are. But there is a Pushpa Samadhi in Vrindavan. A small samadhi. It's at the Radha Gokulananda temple, in the grounds of the Radha Gokulananda temple. Also Lokanath Goswami's samadhi is there, and also the samadhi of, I think, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. It's a very nice place, beautiful place, and peaceful, very peaceful place there. But that's a Pushpa Samadhi, as there were no, like physical remains of Narottam there. So yesterday was his appearance day, and Guru Maharaj said, we are known as Narottam Parivar. He said, but until the appearance of Bhakti Vinod Thakur, our Sampradaya was known as the Narottam Parivar. He said, after Bhakti Vinod Thakur, it has become the Bhakti Vinod Parivar. And we know that the very highest sentiment of Gaudiya Vaishnava theology is expressed in his composition Śrī Rupa Manjari Pada. And we are not generally singing that song because we are considering that as Guru Maharaj's song.
It is Narottam Das Thakur's.
Narottam Das Thakur wrote that, yeah. So it is considered to be the anthem, if you like, of the highest aspiration of the Gaudiya Sampradaya. And because Saraswat Thakur asked Guru Maharaj to sing that song when it was considered to be the transmission of the Rupanuga Sampradaya to Guru Maharaj, we are considering it as Guru Maharaj's song. And sometimes in the time of Srila Govinda Maharaj, he would sing that song on Saraswat Thakur's disappearance day. He would always sing that song, and we would get the opportunity also to sing that. But otherwise, we are considering it too high for us to sing. It is not like just some kind of like entertainment or something. But what that means, very deep meaning of that song. And in our songbook, the translation of that song is Srila Sridhar Maharaj is talking about the meaning of the song. It's very, very nice, very deep in there. So yeah, his appearance day was yesterday. We had some discussion about that with Madhusudan Maharaj on the Zoom. It was very nice. So, Darkesh Prabhu, shall we do Arati now? Jai Saparika Sri Guru Guranga Radha Sham Sunda Giridhari Ju Ki Jai. Jai Srila Rupa Goswami Prabhu Ki Jai. Jai Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur Ki Jai. Jai Srila Narottam Das Thakur Ki Jai. Jai Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Harinama Sankirtan Ki Jai. Anita Ghoura Pranandi.
Krishna